Shoot. Yo, how's it going, guys? It's Richie Unicorn Caller. Wanted to make a quick video about Stitch tokens. Obviously, the only way to get Stitch tokens is by getting the reagents, which you can only get the reagents if you're doing the Rate My Stitch event. So whenever the Rate My Stitch event is ever live in the game, you want to make sure that you're basically doing all the rewards. Now, I managed to get all the way to the end without even getting the judge's choice. You would have to log in at like the very last day, like really early, in order to get enough time for it to reset and then, you know, do the rest of the objectives. But the objectives are super easy. Rate an overall stitch 5 times, 5 per day. Rate an event stitch 10 out of 10, 10 per day, 1 point. And then over here, you'll get some of the rewards. You'll get some wooden buttons here. And then all the way towards the end at 85 points, you'll actually get that stitch token reward. And now here's the interesting thing. Now I already used my stitch token to basically unstitch one of my items, right? But let's say that we wanted to get another stitch token. Well, you can actually craft it. If you go to Maxwell Sharp, you can go over here, go all the way to the furniture aisle, then all the way to all. Now this tab is where all the good stuff is, but if you scroll all the way down here, you'll see a stitch token. Now as you can see, we do not have enough wooden buttons. We only have 4 out of 12 wooden buttons, right? So let's say I don't care about all the emotes, I don't care about the equipment, which the shield is pretty cool. Let me find it. It was like the really cool shield. Yeah, this one is pretty cool right here. This one's pretty cool. But let's say I didn't care about crafting the gear. I just wanted the stitch tokens. Well, again, you go all the way down here at this tab, you'll see the stitch token. Then if you go over to the reagents tab right here, it looks like we can transmute some wood tokens or wood buttons. Now, however, it's gonna take some tailor chalk, right? It's a sacrifice, but it is a sacrifice that we must do, unfortunately. So let's try it out. Just gonna make a couple right here. Alright. So now it's gonna be set on a timer. I wanna see what the timer is. Probably not too long. Oh yeah, that's a quick timer. So going back over here, let's go back to crafting. All. Let's go back to the stitch token. Now we have 13 out of 12 wood buttons. However, we're missing tailor chalk now, unfortunately. So again, you just go back to the reagents tab, or you can just go over here, it doesn't matter, but go back to the reagents tab. Now, we need to get some tailor chalk, which we can transmute tailor chalk with the pincushion. Now, you can get the pincushion from the reward event. If you do get all the way to the end, I believe you'll get 12, if I'm not mistaken, you'll get 12 pincushions. But now let's transmute the pincushions. Now the pincushions are used to, you know, craft the other stuff, but we don't need the pincushions in order to craft a stitch token. The only thing we need to craft for a stitch token is the wood button, the tailor chalk, and some eldritch thread, which you can easily get from Beast Moon events as well. So here we go. Transmute tailor chalk. Let's do it. Alright, alright, alright. And boom, there we have it. We can now create our stitch token. That is awesome. Again, probably one of my favorite updates of the spring, right? It was that. And boom, a stitch token. See how easy that was? Now that's only if you don't really care about like your pin cushions and stuff like that. If you are trying to actually like craft some of this gear, then yeah, you definitely should not like do what I did and just transmute it, because obviously you'll need some of those reagents to craft some of that stuff. But personally for me, I'm sticking with the Beast Moon robe and the the clobber stompers, the little Hulk gauntlets. I'm sticking with all of that. But for anyone else, you can do that. So now I'm going to show you how to basically use the stitch token. You would do the same thing as you would do whenever you're stitching an item. You know, go over here to Eloise, and Eloise will basically have that option for you. So you can either stitch or unstitch. So let's say I want to stitch. And then over here, we can see all the stuff we want to stitch. So let's say I just want to stitch like a random item. Let's go to the Lively Hands of Fate. And then we choose the stat. Now, a lot of people get confused on this. There is a lot of confusion with this. Only choose the appearance if it's already... Because what happens is a lot of people don't pay attention and they actually overstitch, which means they would actually lose some of their gear pieces, right? So let's go over here to my backpack. Let me show you an example, right? Let's go to like a wand. Let's go to a random wand. We got the Mandar's Sword of Legend, right? Obviously, it's not a sword. It's the Eel Whip, which I've gotten from a bundle, I believe. I forgot which bundle it was, but this is from a bundle. So if I were to, let's say, stitch over... Now, I wanted the design of the Mandar's Sword and the Arcane Whistle Staff. I would push create. It will let you use your free stitch token. Now these items will be removed from your inventory, right? The Mandar's Sword into the Arcane Whistle Staff. So this will be the design right here. And the Arcane Whistle Staff will be the, whatchamacallit, that will be the stats, right? Now usually, I'm not going to test it out, but usually if you do click yes, it'll actually give you like a warning sign saying that you would lose one of the items that is stitched over, right? But I'm not going to give you that theory because I'm not going to test that out. But that's basically how you use a stitch token, and just remember not to overstitch. Because what tends to happen is people overstitch, they lose one of their really awesome gears, unfortunately, and it happens a lot. So let's say I wanted to choose the appearance of the Lively Hands of Fate. Now, the Lively Hands of Fate has no stats whatsoever. It's purely for design purposes only, right? It is purely cosmetic, right? The only thing it has is a life blade, which, quite frankly, is useless, right? So let's say I wanted the appearance of the Life Decathlon gloves. Go to Eloise, stitch. You want to stitch the appearance onto something else of the stats that you want that don't have any cosmetics that you want, right? Because when you stitch it, it will still be there. You'll get the stats, but you're not going to get that design back unless you unstitch it, right? So just make sure whenever you're stitching, just read the thing, read the prompts, and just make sure in your inventory that you don't have anything noteworthy design-wise, and make sure you're not overstitching, right? And that's basically how you stitch and use stitch tokens. You don't need the 100 crowns if you have the stitch token. As you can see, we have 4 crowns, which you need 100 crowns, which isn't really hard to get if you do 10 trivias. But it is a little annoying. But if you have a stitch token, you can use that and stitch whatever you want as long as you got all that. So just make sure you're reading the prompt, make sure you're looking in your backpack, and make sure you're not overstitching. So hopefully that helps a few people out. Until then, I will see you guys later, and peace out.